All right. Well, today I wanted to talk about my bizarre date with a vegan girl that I went on about a year and a half ago. For context, at this time I was around 18 to 20% body fat and wasn't as lean as I am now. I was in somewhat decent shape, but still had some fat in my face. It wasn't until about a year ago that I really started leaning down to get to where I am now. So I matched with this girl on Bumble. She was attractive. She had medium brown hair, blue eyes, petite, and had an athletic body type. This would be a picture that would be closest to what she looks like. So we messaged back and forth a little bit on Bumble, and then we exchanged phone numbers. We talked for a few weeks, and we finally arranged a date. What was weird is that she seemed interested on Bumble and also over text. I didn't really look at her Bumble profile too much, and the texts were mostly pretty surface level, and didn't really get into talking too deep about anything before we met up on the date. Looking back, I probably should have looked at her profile to see what she was about, which I normally will do now to get a better expectation of who I'm meeting up with. So we ended up meeting in a somewhat hipster type place in a city that is like in between us. I chose to meet at a restaurant that had like a back patio and also more of like a laid back chill vibe. So she was waiting for me at the entrance of the restaurant. When she saw me, she had a pretty happy expression on her face. I could tell from her body language, from her facial expression, that she did have a decent level of interest in me. So we got seated and we started talking, and the vibe was pretty good overall. When the waitress comes around, we both order a water and I order a beer. The conversation continues from there. We begin to flirt a little bit, but mostly talk about how each other's week is going. And when the waitress comes back around again and asks us for our order, she orders a salad, and then I tell the waitress that I'm going to have a dozen buffalo wings. So pretty much right when I said this, her whole expression and mood changed. Like, she went from being pretty interested to looking like extremely pissed off in a span of about 5 seconds. Like, her facial expression literally looked like she smelled a nasty fart and couldn't find any Febreze to get rid of the smell. I then asked her if everything was okay, and she just looked at me like I was on fire, and she didn't say anything. It got like really awkward. I asked her if something was wrong again, as she literally looked like she wanted to flip the table over. Like, I've never seen somebody like staring at you with like such anger, not saying a word. It was just like crazy. I didn't know what was going on. She then pulled out her phone and started scrolling on her phone, looking alarmed, and she started like looking around the patio where we were sitting. And then I asked her like what she does, and she says that she has a vegan business that she runs. And I then put two and two together, and I tell her, "Oh, nice. I don't have anything against vegans. I personally don't have anything against vegans. Like, if you want to eat beans, rice, and lentils instead of meat, if you want to live that lifestyle, more power to you." I then tried to crack like a lighthearted joke and said, "Yeah, I respect that. My brother's a vegetarian, but I try to eat healthy, but I love buffalo wings, steak, and bacon too much to ever become vegan." I just told her this, just trying to lighten the mood, and this did not work. Like, this made her like even more mad. Like, by this point, she was like fuming, and her face was like starting to get like visibly red. She then got back on her phone and was just texting someone like pretty frantically, and like occasionally looking back up at me. It got like super awkward, and I just tried to make more small talk about what she likes to do for fun. And she said that, she just likes working on her business, and then she wouldn't say anything more. She then said, "Sorry, I'm texting my employee. They're shutting down the store for the night, and I need to make sure they don't need anything, or they don't need me." And I was like, "Yeah, so I said to her, I was like, at this point, I was just kind of over it. I was like, "Yeah, I was wondering what was so important that you'd be texting on a date." And then she just like looked even more enraged and just started like staring at me like across the table after I said this. So after about another 20 minutes of silence, I said to her, I'm like, "Hey, you seem like you're having a really rough day, and let's call this and maybe we can hang out another day." And she said, "Yeah." And so her and I like walked out of the restaurant. Interesting. She then turned to me and just gave me a hug outside the restaurant and said, "Get home safe." And I told her to do the same. And then like on the drive home, it just felt so odd. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, how could she expect me to be vegan? Like, I mean, we met on Bumble. It's not like we met on SaveTheCows.com or PlantPeopleMeat.com. It just goes to show that if someone is very far into a certain niche, sometimes it doesn't matter how initially attracted they were to you. Sometimes if you don't fall into her exact world, like if she's a vegan or she's super liberal or she's super, super conservative, sometimes when a woman or a person in general is just too into a certain niche and you don't fit into that niche, you can actually go from being attractive in their eyes to like a zero real quick. I think the same, like I said, the same thing can be said for differences in politics as well, really. But if a girl is super liberal and you're more conservative, there'll be an initial attraction, but that attraction, won't match once she finds that out, and vice versa. So I end up texting her when I get back home that I got home, and I asked her if she wanted to chat for a few minutes. Part of me was like genuinely kind of worried that she went from pretty interested to like extremely angry in 10 seconds. Part of me thought maybe something could have happened and she found out while we were on the date. Maybe she got a text and she found out something, really, really tough or really sad. So she then texted me this: I think you thought I was someone else and I thought I was meeting someone else. So when I got there, I was definitely distracted. Sorry if I made you feel bad, but I'm not interested, and I'm also not interested in having a conversation beyond this. I wish you well. Have a good day. So this actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know, but for some reason, maybe she thought she was meeting a vegan guy, and she mistaked me for being that guy. So I don't know, Slay, that night I was just kind of in a bad mood, and I sent back, "You're lost. Have a good day." Maybe I shouldn't have said this. It just kind of came out in the moment. But so I decided to do some more research on this girl, and the research explained everything. I looked this girl up on Instagram, and she actually did have her own vegan business. And she would also host like these vegan meetups and protests in the city and surrounding area. Like there are photos of her with like signs saying literally "Save the cows," and with memes saying that if you eat meat, you support the suffering of animals. Like, I have nothing against vegans. Like I know a few other people that are vegan. They're nice, respectful people. And if you want to live a vegan lifestyle, like more power to you. Like I have nothing against you. But that explained why she was like seething in anger on the date after I ordered buffalo wings, and it explains why after that she didn't want to talk to me and she wanted no part of me. She would also post like angry stuff on her Twitter about like certain corporations, and it was always something to try and make people feel bad about eating meat. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to hit the notification bell. Feel free to comment down below any similar story you've had, and feel free to subscribe. Until next time, take care.